Hello, everybody. Whoa. Welcome to the Comic Hero Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I'm here to give you my review of Resident Evil 8 Village. Now, I don't do video game reviews as much as I would like to. It's just because, there's so many new video games coming out, but I only really play, but I don't play enough. So I need Seth to come over here and do more shit because he actually plays more games, or maybe Mark or something. I need to play more video games, or I'll play a video game late. I'm a massive fan of the Hitman games. I play them every time they come out, but I play it so late that it's is it worth reviewing? So rarely do I get to review a game. Last game I reviewed was Cyberpunk. That to tell you how long ago I get to review stuff. But I actually got this game day of, just finished it, Resident Evil 8. Now, Resident Evil 8 Village was clear from the jump. When I first heard about it, I was like, okay. When I first saw a trailer for it, I was like, okay. When I first saw the images for it, I was like, okay, I see what they're doing here. Essentially, Resident Evil 4, Leon Kennedy, my favorite Resident Evil game, and my other favorite Resident Evil game, Resident Evil 7, did the fusion dance. They fused together and they were going to make a super being that was both of those games combined to make a beautiful game. Did it work? Yes and no. Yes, I think it worked because I had a blast. I've seen a bit of negative. It's so weird because the game is one of the top selling games of the year. It's sold a lot. I think it sold 100 million units already, within the first day or two. The first week of it, the first week of it being out, it's over 100 million units. So it's selling very well. It's not selling as well as certain other games, but it's selling well. Selling well enough to call it a success, and it seems like it's gonna keep going that direction. But because the game is fun, I personally had a blast playing it. I had a lot of fun playing it. There are certain things I have problems with, and I'll get into. But overall, I got my Resident Evil fix. I had fun. It was bloody. I had a good time using all these different guns. I had a good time dispatching of different enemies different ways. I had a good time with the ridiculousness of the story. I had a good time. That's the thing. I had a good time the whole way through. So, on that basis, I would give this game just off the top an 8.5 because I had a great time playing it. I had a great time just playing through it. It was a breeze of a game. It was a nice, fun little game. It's not the most complex story, no. It's the most, revolutionary, no. It doesn't push the problem is that Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 7 were the saviors of the franchise. At the time Resident Evil 4 had came out, the Resident Evil franchise was struggling. It was struggling. They were pumping out games that were not being reviewed very favorably. You had Outbreak and Resident Evil Outbreak and shit, and that shit wasn't doing good. You had a lot of games that were not doing hot. And then Resident Evil 4 came out, they changed the format, they got rid of certain aspects. It was more of a shooter, more of an action style shooter. With horror elements to it. You got Leon. It was over the top. It was awesome. Resident Evil 4 is my favorite game. One of my favorite games of all time. I always tell the story about I only got AB Honor Roll once in the entire time I was in school, and I got it for this game. I studied my ass off to get this game, man. So, I got AB Honor Roll a couple other times, but this was the one time that I distinctly remember having to try. Other times I was just okay, I just have to, do something. But this time I was oh, no. I put an effort to get that game. I'll never forget it. And it was a rated M game. My mom got it for me anyway. She didn't even let me play rated M games. That should just tell you how dedicated I was to this shit. But the game changed. It changed it for better and worse because the games that followed Resident Evil 5 and 6 were rough because they were just trying to do that. And after Resident Evil, Revelations and shit, they just okay, we need another game to save us because we went down a rabbit hole. We saved ourselves with 4. We need another game. Then 7 came out. And 7 invested more into the horror. It invested into the horror. It invested into the pace. Now, 7 was significantly shorter than the other games that came before it. Resident Evil 6 was 16 hours. Resident Evil 4 was 16 hours. Resident Evil 5, I believe, was 18. I believe it was either the same or it was a little bit more. It was 18 or 20. Resident Evil 6 was 24 hours. Resident Evil 7 was 6. 6 hours. It's a 6-hour game. If you just play right through it, from the beginning to end, and you beat every boss when you need to beat them and do it, 6 hours. It'll take you 6 hours to beat the game. But the thing about it is, the atmosphere was there. It was scary. It was creepy. You didn't know what was going on. You didn't quite understand why this was going on. It was scary. It was creepy. They introduced a new character, Ethan Winters. They introduced a new parasite / virus called the mold. The story was actually quite fascinating. You know, with Evelyn and what was going on with her and the reveals of what happened and all the tapes you'd find. It was a horror movie. It was a beautiful horror movie. Now, granted, like I agree with Seth when Seth said that eventually the scares did die down. Like after about the first 2 hours, you're no longer really scared because you're used to it. But in the beginning, but it's still a very, greatly designed, terrifying game. It's way too short. It's really short, but at the same time, it's a pound for your punch. You get in, you get out, you play it again, get in, get out, you play it again. It's great, and the DLCs for it were fun too. DLCs were just great character stuff. Like, that's what DLC should do. Like, if you're gonna be a DLC, in my opinion, if you're gonna be a DLC, either be a massive expansion, like a Blood and Wine, or be character shit. Be like, okay, this explains more about it. This is like extra shit. Like, it's literal downloadable content. That's what it should be. Is shit that you don't need, but if you're a fan of what you just played, you want it. Like, that's what it should be. It should be like more. And the DLCs for Resident Evil 7 gave you more. Now, they've definitely gone off on their own with the remakes, but when we get to 8 wants to be both. It wants to have the action aspects of 4 while still having the first-person shooter and just the horror thing going for from 7. Problem is, it's about 70% 4 and about 30% 7. It leans more into the action, and there's very little of the scares. I say all of the scares of this game, all the creepiness or whatever of this game, is all at the beginning. It's at the beginning and a little bit spread out. But most of it's at the beginning. After you get past the beginning, it's just action. It's just really action. Like, it's still got horror splatter throughout it, but it's more creepy than actual horrors. The beginning and the doll maker boss and the doll maker boss you have to fight. After that, it's really not that scary at all. After that, it's really just straightforward, shoot kind of a game. It's really just straightforward, kind of like Resident Evil 4. You buying weapons, they brought back a weapons guy, you can buy weapons, sell weapons, you find things throughout the village to sell, little trinkets, things in here and there. The game really makes you want to, and it's about 2 more hours. Like, they say that the game's about 8 hours long, if you played it from beginning to end, so it is about 2 hours longer than 7. But the problem is they didn't do as much with it as they should have. My opinion, if you were gonna go the 7, have it be 4 anyways, the game should have been longer, in my opinion. I feel like the game was in hyperdrive. There are parts where you're like, this should take longer than it should, and certain villains should be more different or more complicated to take down than they should. For instance, the castle. When you get to the castle, admittedly takes up about an hour or 2 to get through, longer than any of the other spots you go to. But the Kara admittedly takes a little bit of time to get through if you're just screwing around, especially. And you have to fight the vampire woman, the big lady. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. I think it's like Della something. I'm just calling her Big D. And you have to fight her and her 3 daughters. And of course, in my mind, I even knew this. It's like, okay, so the whole thing is building to you fighting her in the end. But they do throw a twist in there with the daughters popping up randomly when you're just wandering, so that's kind of cool. And she's just walking around looking for you, and she can easily kill you, and there's nothing you can do to her, so that was kind of cool as well. So like I said, so there is something to, the castle does have a nice quality to it. It does have a fun vibe to it, because you never know when she's gonna pop up. You never know when the daughter's gonna pop up. The problem is that the actual battles were not that, the final battle with her was cool, I suppose, but the battles with the daughters were just so simplistic, and they were so all the same. I was just I thought they were gonna mix it up a bit. I felt like they missed out on an opportunity, and I found myself comparing this castle to the one in 4 and dealing with Salazar, and I believe that's his name. Was it Salazar? I think it's Salazar. And dealing with, you know, the Salazar, that short little shrimp son of a bitch, and his two minions, his right hand and left hand. And how when his right hand and left hand showed up, it was like in two different contexts. Like they would show up at random locations, like just getting around this place and just different things you had to do to get just like all the different things. And there was so much done inside this castle. Like each individual area you were in, there was so much to be done. There was so much to be done. There was so much more to it. Whereas this castle, it's pretty straightforward. You know, there are little puzzles here and there, but pretty straightforward. You do the puzzle, keep moving, do the puzzle, cutscene, 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 do the puzzle, cutscene. You fight one of the daughters who they're like cold weather really hurts them, which Steph pointed out made a lot of sense since they're made up of bugs and bugs don't like cold weather, so it made sense. But yeah, cold weather hurts them, so you know, one way or another, the window or something breaks and you know, cold weather is let in. But like I said, I wish they would have came up with a more clever thing to do there. Like that boss battle, like the entirety of that castle should have been about 4 hours, 4 or 5, 3 hours, 4, 3, 5 hours on its own. Like the game should have been closer to the time limit of Resident Evil 4. I wish they had embraced that more instead of like they should have just embraced the Resident Evil 4 of it. Like, they should have just embraced the Resident Evil 4 of it more, in my opinion. Some people feel the opposite direction. But in the end, though, I still had fun with it. I just thought there was more to be done with this game. There was more to be done with this game. It was really quick. I mean, it's a slug. Like, it took me a while to get around to beating it, just because I was working and doing other things, hanging out with Seth and doing other things. But once I sat down and just started to I set like a couple hours, like 3-4 hours to just playing the game, I realized I was almost done with the game. And I was like, wow, this game should be longer than this. There should be more to do in this village. This village should be bigger. I thought the village was going to be bigger than what it actually was. I thought the castle was going to be bigger than it actually was. Like, I thought the bosses were going to be more, it was going to be more to getting to the bosses. Like, the hardest boss there is to get to is Eisenberg, like near the end. He's the only one you really have to work for, because all the other bosses, you just see them, like they just show up. I thought it was going to be more. And the story itself, while not the greatest, it's not the most original story. It's freaking nuts. It gets crazy. At a certain point, you get to play as Chris too, locked and loaded, which was cool. But still, man, like I said, the story, like I said, there was more to be done with this game. I had fun playing it. I had fun beating. I'm gonna play it again because it does have a nice replay value to it, especially since I think I haven't played it yet, but I'm assuming it has a new game plus. But I was disappointed. Like, okay, no. I wasn't disappointed. I was disappointed with the length and that there wasn't more things in it. I wanted there to be more. Like, I wanted more. Like, that's the thing. So maybe it's not a bad thing. I wanted more out of it. I had fun. Like I said, I had fun with it. I just wanted more out of it. I wanted more out of it. But, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. I still had a great time playing this game. I give Resident Evil 8 Village an 8.5. Thank you guys for joining the Common Game Movie Show. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.